starting with Vipin Suralia from Visa, Benny from EC Council, Sijesh from Google Cloud Security, Nishant Hetiar from Cisco Labs, and Bhushan Daratna. Since we have CEOs and C-suite executives, I told my panelists that to drive the importance of boardroom cybersecurity to boardroom should be an elevator pitch, quick, concise, and effective. I like to start the panel by asking the panelists to sort of make a case why should boards be prepared in the first place to respond to any attack. So I'll invite maybe from Sijesh to start as to why there is a need. And I want the panel to sort of make a quick introduction to this subject. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed a pleasure having you all here this evening. And also a very good evening to all the esteemed panelists. My name is Sijesh. I basically head a team of security engineers at Google Cloud Security, and I transitioned into Google as part of a Mandiant acquisition, right? Acquisition that Google made about a couple of years back. Now, Mandiant was a very strategic acquisition for Google because Mandiant today, if you look at what it's done in the last 18 years in the field of cybersecurity, we are probably a gold standard when it comes to incident response, right? Not uncommon for our customers to pick up the phone at the time of crisis and dial 1800 Mandiant, right? Call us in for doing the breach investigation. The sheer work that we do there, about 1,200 plus cyber investigations in a period of about 365 days, which roughly translates into about 200,000 hours of incident response, right? I'll come to your question on why it's important for the board. And so there are two areas, right? One is the sheer work that we do responding to incidents, helping our customers get out of a situation of a breach and kind of neutralizing the threat actor. The other is in the space of cyber threat intelligence, right? So we know how attacks are perpetrated. We also know who the attackers are, right? Threat actors who we've been profiling for the last 18 years. What their motivations are, what country they operate out of, who are their targets, what industry verticals they target, right? And when we get called in for doing breach investigations, many a times when we are interacting with the board, the fundamental truth that exists is these are organizations, some of them amongst the Fortune 100, right? The top cybersecurity, the top companies who have pumped in millions of dollars into cybersecurity. So they are best of the breed technology, right? They are watertight compliance programs. They have invested adequately into human capital, but still breaches happen. So the first point is breaches are inevitable. It also aligns with what our erstwhile CEO, Kevin Mandia, used to say. Irrespective of what technology layer you put in, irrespective of what watertight compliance programs you have, there is going to be a day when your phone's going to ring and you will be told that, sir, we are suspecting a potential breach. An attacker has managed to get past our initial line of defense, right? So that's the first thing, first fundamental philosophy that we have, which is irrespective of what you do, breaches are going to be inevitable, right? The second thing is, you can never make it difficult you can only make it difficult for a threat actor to basically cut down on his opportunity to breach you, but then you would never really be successful in shielding your organization to a breach, right? So as long as boards decide and accept this fundamental truth and design their security architecture not to prevent a breach, but rather with a philosophy of how do you neutralize a threat actor the moment you are targeted, right? So Mandiant basically differentiates between what is a breach and what's an impact to your business. These are completely poles apart, right? Breach is basically a threat actor getting past your first line of defense. But that's getting him into an uncharted territory. He doesn't know what business applications you use. He doesn't know what's the egress point, where do you have your crown jewels and stuff like that. So he's got to spend time in your environment, what we typically call as a dwell time. Now, if you have the right mix of technology, the right mix of intelligence, cyber threat intelligence, you are able to neutralize the threat actor, right? So while I'll get into the specifics of why it's important for board, these are the two fundamental learnings that we usually get when we interact with board for the first time, which is the fact that they've been breached. It's not something that they're ready to accept, and the fact that they lack the ability to react to a situation of breach, right? Breach is not everything lost to the threat actor. It's only the attacker getting past your first line of defense.
Thanks, Ajay sir. Belly, your own take as to why should boards be prepared?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much to both Sikro and everyone who is inviting me for this Cyberspace Summit last year as well. I'm here. And I'm quite interested for the topic, the rise of the cyber scams and the cyber fraud. And yes, that's true, because nowadays, the questions, if I'm the board, is not how much does it cost? You get what I mean? If let's say you are the CIO, you are going to invest for the cybersecurity appliance. What is the first question? What is the first thing you want? How much does it cost? Correct? Correct? Because you're the board. Okay, you need to think about the budget. But let me try to flip around it. Actually, the question should be how much would it will be cost if there is a damage. Okay? Sorry if I have to change your mind. Because there's a lot of data breach, okay? There's a lot of identity stealing, cyber scam, cyber fraud. So we must change our mindset. It's not about how much does it cost to invest for cybersecurity, but you need to think about how much will it cost if there's damage. I give an example. Just 2 months ago, one of in my country. Oh, anyway, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Billy. I'm from Jakarta, Indonesia. There is, I'm sure you know about the cryptocurrency exchange. Okay? It has been hacked at around 2 a.m. And what I like, what I really impressed from the board, from the CEO is, at the first time, when he noticed that the system has been hacked, the question to the technical guys and management level is, how much is the damage? And then the IT manager, the security manager, they said, we lost 20 million US dollar. Then the CEO says, okay, we'll cover that. And then on 8 a.m. in the morning, they do a press release. They said, all right, our system in Indodex has been hacked, and we lost 20 million US dollar. But don't worry, we'll cover all of your money. Your money is safe. See the different approach, okay? From most of the case, mostly I always heard about something like this. When last time, about 6 months ago, our data center, the Indonesia data center, national data center, has been hacked. They come to me and then they ask, Really, our data center has been hacked. Our data has been leaked everywhere, data breach. What they ask? Okay, I will open in here in this forum international because I don't, I really don't like what they ask. The question. They ask is, can you give me a proposal on the next 2025 budget fiscal year? How much we need to spend the budget to buy the cybersecurity appliance, FRM, DLP, or whatever it is? Then I said, go back home. Sorry to say. Because it's not the point. Correct or not? The point is, my data, everything, your ID, your name, your home address, your birth date, your what is mother's maiden name, is already in the hacker's hand. So, regardless of, on the next year, you're going to buy the, from the cloud, Google security appliance, okay, if I can say, you name it, IBM Curator, or FireEye, FortiGate, whatever it is. The question is, our data is there. It's already in the hacker hands. Okay? What is the damage? Can you calculate that is what we call this as intangible cost damage? Do I have more time? Okay.
I'll come back to you, yes. Yeah.
Remind me, because when I thought, I couldn't stop.
Yeah. So I'll come back to, thank you. I mean, I think the correct message was there. Look at the impact before looking at the cost.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The impact. Nowadays, hackers is not like just now. Sorry, I'm a bit late because I need to change my dress. Just now I wear like a tourist, wearing the normal hat, because hackers is not like in the movie like last time, wearing the hoodies down there, right? Hacker can be like a normal person, sitting down there in the cafe, using, tomorrow, hopefully you will come again. I will show you something, not something, a lot of things. That they can easily get the tools from the internet, capture everything. Okay, go back to the data breach, scam and everything. The impact. Okay, let me tell you.
Benny, can I stop you there now?
Oh, yeah.
I'll come back to you. Thanks.
Sorry.
Thank
you so much.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Anyway, the point is, you need to change your mindset. How much will it cost? Not how much does it cost. Agree?
Agreed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much.
I'll come back with a follow-up question. Vipin, I just want to give you sort of from your payments, digital payments scenario, and why should, in your opinion, from Visa's perspective, both should consider?
Good evening, and I have attended this event so many times that Bhushan should consider me a local speaker, not an international speaker. One, second, I always keep telling Bhushan, even fraudsters are getting smarter and they don't make spelling mistakes. He continues to make spelling mistake in my name. So Bhushan, I hope you'll take care of that. Having said that, I head risk services for Visa for India and South Asia. Sri Lanka is one of our markets I and my team manages, and our country manager Avanti Colombe, she's on ground with her team as well. It's so exciting to work for Visa because Visa believes that we should be the best way to pay and to be paid everyone, everywhere, every time in a safe, secure and efficient manner. So that's our philosophy, that's our vision. And of late, what is happening is, irrespective of whichever industry you work for, the only way to be cyber safe is if you don't have a digital presence or a digital platform, you lock yourself. And as CEOs, that is not a choice that any one of you have. As a board, you don't have that choice because today we are living in a world where it's an always on scenario. Customers are so demanding, they want 24/7 into 365 delivery, and platforms like Google and Amazon have created the myth or the science fiction to a reality. That's one. Second, whenever there is a loss of money, and my friend spoke about the investment, how much we need to make, but please do remember it's about people. At the end of it, it's people, and as a CEO, as a board, you have created a brand, you have created an ecosystem where your brand should still continue to be trusted by the consumers. So fundamental to what you as a board need to worry about from a cyber perspective is the end consumer in mind, and he will only stay invested in your brand, in your company, if that trust, the promise of that trust doesn't get broken. And the level of promise is different. So earlier it was about money, now it's becoming more and more about service. So if your platform is down for 15 minutes, you will see the platforms on social media filled with this platform is not working, that platform is not working. That's the expectation that the consumers are having from you. Last point which she just touched upon, I just want to highlight, yes, with the fraudsters being united, fraudsters being organized, it's a matter of time. When we are going to hack, it's not about who, but when we are going to hack, but it's the resilience part that kicks in. So how ready you are if you get hacked. As Srijay was saying, the threat actor enters, but it's what you do as a board, as a company. And there's an interesting case study. One of our clients in Australia, Optus, suffered a cyber attack last year. The CEO got fired, but there's a whole beautiful journey of what she and her team did to bring back consumer confidence, consumer trust. So to me, the most important imperative for board to invest in cybersecurity is about consumers.
Thanks, Vipin. And then on to Nishanta. You come from the world's largest food service provider. What would be your case for the CEOs here to do?
Yeah, so when we say the largest food service provider in the world, right, we are Cisco, we are ranked number 54th in the Fortune 100. What that means is what we basically do is we buy food from our suppliers, store it in our warehouses and sell it across the world. Now what we're trying to secure is we've got 70,000 employees across the globe. We've got 35,000 mobile devices in the hands. We've got more than 2,000 accounts, servers, more than 250 cloud accounts. Right? That's the scale of what we're trying to kind of protect through cyber. Now, as part of boards, there's a lot of things going on with cyber, right? It changes so rapidly. In a way, you got to dumb this down. You'll have tech folks coming and talking to you about, cross-site scripting and all sorts of stuff. So how do you dumb it down? So what we use is we use a framework called NIST. It's a global standard. And what it basically tells you is what do you need to do governance? How do you bring in governance? What do you need to protect? Identifying that. How should you protect? When you have an attack, how should you respond? So I think a framework of that sort, it's called a cyber security framework. That will be a great tool for all of you to use to basically kind of get an understanding at a board level. Why it's actually very good is it's able to talk both to the tech guys as well as the board. So I think something like that would really help in kind of bringing that. Another thing that I wanted to bring is all of these guys are cyber experts, right? I overlook an R&D team. We do a lot of work with AI, building solutions. And I also do architecture and engineering reviews across Cisco as part of enterprise architecture. Something that's really important to understand is the partnership between security folks and the rest of the organization. I also worked for Virtusa for 18 years. I saw it growing from a 500 to a 30,000 employee company. And at a certain point, it was very painful to work at Virtusa, right? From an application developer point of view, right now I think it was rated as one of the top 5 most secure companies in the US. But it also has the other side of it. we would try to meet a customer deadline, trying to build something out, and things were blocked. And your usual response would be, it's a company policy, you can't do this. Security comes on top. So it's important to see that partnerships in organizations, you have to have your security guys, your application guys, your business, all working as partners. Right? It's very, very important to have that sort of relationship. So one thing is a security framework like NIST, having that partnership, having those conversations, having relationships, right? When I started at Cisco, we had a certain situation, and the messages I got from the head of security was like, I am not asking you, I am telling you, right? So that's the tone. But, following up, we met up, we shared a few drinks, it helps. So it's important to have that sort of mindset as well. And another thing that I really want to touch upon is, we heard this thing about cost. This ain't cheap. This is very, very expensive. I'll give you an example where we had this tool called Postman that most developers use. And it has a way that you can actually store your credentials and someone can use it. But it's just a matter of educating people. So we would tell our guys, don't use it like this, use it the proper way, and it's fine. But as an organization, Cisco is what we call, you have a concept called risk appetite, right, for a company. A company's risk appetite depends on the business domain, the geography, and all of that. So Cisco, being a US company, the US also doesn't have a lot of friends in places like Russia, Iran, and all of that. So there are geopolitical reasons to be attacked. So our risk appetite is very, very low. The solution was like, hey, you can't use this, you got to buy the enterprise version. How much does it cost? $500, $500 a year. 2,000 employees, $1 million a year, just on a utility tool. So this is not, that's why it's about cost. It's about trade-offs that we have to think. Cost is one thing. I work on R&D. I run into with security all the time. We build something out in 2 months. It takes 2 months to get approval from cyber, right? So that means you're actually hampering innovation in an organization. You're hampering sometimes delivery in an organization. So that is why it's important to kind of balance these things out as a trade-off.
Excellent. Thank you, Nishant. Bhushan, your own take as to why should board be prepared from your own experience?
I think there are, all of us, especially post-COVID, whether we like it or not, we have gone into the digital platforms. So as a result, a company which had a roadmap maybe 3 to 5 years to move into the digital platform probably moved overnight. Now, along with that, there's a lot of work from home culture came in, which we were never used to. So the IT security experts were bringing everyone in to the office. You have the perimeter defense, you have a firewall, and you protect everyone inside. Now, you are allowed everyone to come from out. So, is the board aware of all this? Technically is the question. Now, most of the boards, I think having a financial accountant or financial guy is a must. But I do not see in any of boards that having an IT experts, forget the security, IT experts being a must. So I see some of the boards are still not having any IT guy in the board. So whenever the IT, like says the cost factor, says, okay, these are the vulnerabilities which are there in Sri Lanka and abroad. So this is the cost is going to be. The first question the board members would ask is that, did anything happen last year? So if anything didn't happen last year, then you say, okay, let's look at the next year's budget, purely because they are not aware what can happen. So are we waiting till something happens? to invest on the cost. So that investment would be much more than preemptive measure that you do, whether you do to the organization. So I would say any board that you need to have someone who has a knowledge in IT, and especially if you are going into the digital platform, to understand which platforms that you need to take and whether those platforms are secure.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks for all the panelists, but I'm very keen to engage the audience. I mean, there are a few things that came up. One is risk appetite, other one is some geopolitics, the other one is, the trade-offs, and of course, IT governance aspect. It's a two-way process. I like to also learn or share, get some insights from the audience as well as to where do you see the problem in terms of from a board perspective, what does boards lack? Or is there or you feel that the entire thing is, boards are prepared, or is there a problem on the other side of the techie side? So I want that conversation continue. Billy, you mentioned about trade-offs, the cost. How would you advise companies, which way would the companies, is there a model to follow in assessing a possible, what would be the, can it be simulated? How would you get companies? And if there are CEOs who have gone through this process, please share own learnings as well, so that everyone else benefits. Quick answer, Billy, in terms of, you post a challenge, but what would be the solution? Is there any formula to find out, what kind of impact would the company, or will it be taking a lot of time? Quick answer.
Yeah, so,
Nishant,
yeah, so what we generally see is there's a range, 5 to 20% of your IT budget potentially should be spent on security. That depends on your risk appetite, right? So if you want to elaborate a little bit on that is, we don't hear a lot about data breaches out in Sri Lanka. I don't think I've ever heard something. But in the US, it is different. Cisco itself was attacked last year. Basically, we had 125,000 customers and employees' data being leaked. Now, in the US, it's a very litigious society. You leak something out, you got to pay for it. You'll be taken to courts. You're also supposed to publish that out so that everyone knows. So you have to understand which market that you're catering to. That's one. You also want to look at what is your competitors doing, right? Because we run businesses to make money. And if you're trying to be overly secure and spending way more than your competition, you're going to lose out on your market share. So that's another thing that you want to look at. Again, geopolitics is a really big thing. We see things like, we know for Cisco, we know where the attacks are coming from, places like Iran, Russia, China, but we cannot go and get them. There is no thing. So things like that, it's important to understand it is unique to your company and your domain, and finding that those are some of the parameters that you could use. Thank you.
Just pivoting to payments, what we are also seeing, while we continue to invest as a network which operates in 200 countries, invested close to $1 billion in our own security, the fraudsters have found a very vulnerable set. I'll go back to people again, which I spoke about. So, and Bhushan mentioned it earlier, while we can have best of technologies and technologies keep evolving, we can have best of processes, rules, governance around it. But what we see from our networks is that fraudsters have realized it's consumers who are vulnerable. And the earlier fraud used to be data breaches can be secured, and we have a solution called tokenization to secure card. But what we are finding, fraudsters are using consumers like you and me to participate in the fraud. So what they are doing is, while board has taken care, made investment, etc., they've realized that if I can, and it's the fashionable social engineering, it's a ubiquitous problem, growing alarmingly because of use of AI by fraudsters, doesn't seem to end. There is a global anti-scam agency which runs, you find anti-scam centers in Malaysia, Singapore. In fact, our own Prime Minister spoke about something called a digital arrest. So two things and two thoughts, and while as the brand ambassador or CEOs or boards of our own companies, we would do everything to protect ourselves, but there is an opportunity to collaborate across the ecosystem. That's one. And it's not about the color of the brand that I wear, but it's making sure that nobody can do it alone, because we are fighting against unified, organized fraudsters, so we have to collaborate. And second is we have to continue investing in consumer education in addition to all other investments that we make.
Sijesh, any insights on the geopolitics, play of geopolitics in these recent attacks or the emerging threats, since Google is very much alive?
Right. So, as they say, for every country, both from a defense and an offense perspective, cyber is going to be the fourth front. So we have Army, we have Navy, we have Air Force, and cyber is going to be the fourth front, right? Last 3 to 4 years, a lot of our customers reach out asking, with the rising geopolitical tension, what does that translate into, right, for them from a cyber perspective? And let me tell you, it's not uncommon for us to see a geopolitical tension kind of percolating into the cyber world. There have been cases where companies have been, or organizations have been attacked without they realizing that the reason why they have been attacked is because they probably have business relations with a company or with a country which is into a geopolitical tension with somebody, right? So they partner with that country and they have been breached for that, right? Now, there is an exercise that we do as part of operationalizing cyber threat intelligence, which is what we call as cyber threat profiling, right? The fundamentals of cyber threat profiling starts with understanding who your enemy is or what threats are you up against. And many a times a major factor that drives that is the geopolitical tensions, what geographical locations you operate out of, what industry vertical you belong to, right? In cybersecurity, you say there's a saying that if every threat is your priority, you don't really have a priority, right? You can't go after millions of threats, which is where when you do a cyber threat profiling as an exercise, geopolitical tension is one of the factors that we consider. We exactly tell you, because Mandiant and Google has been mapping threat actors on the basis of their motivation, right? So when I say motivation, you could have certain threat actors who are motivated from a cyber espionage perspective, right? So their focus is only around cyber espionage. There are some threat actors who are motivated from a financial perspective. There are certain threat actors who run hacktivism, right? So there are campaigns that they run. So as part of cyber threat profile, this is one of the factors that we consider, basis your location and how the geopolitical tensions exist with your neighbors. We would factor that and tell you what are the threat actors, what are the threats, what are the malwares that you need to be aware of, right? And with all the war that's happening, right, the physical war that's happening, it's not uncommon for us to see a physical war both precede and follow with a cyber attack, right? So if I take the example of Ukraine and Russia, right, when that war, the war started, we had threat actor groups kind of calling out their allegiance to either side, and there was literally a cyber warfare, right? So geopolitical tensions beyond a certain tipping point does percolate into the cyber world.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open it up to the audience. There are some roving mics. Please feel free either to ask any questions or even clarify some if there are some misconceptions from the panel as well. I want to see a healthy dialogue of ideas. Who likes to make the first observation or ask a question? There are some experts here, maybe.
Yeah, don't be shy. Okay, please.
Yes, there is.
Okay, don't be shy. Or
No, there is one here. Just
okay. No, because actually I want to ask something.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, come on, sir.
Yeah, you can hear me, right? So there are two questions. One is like at this stage, at this month, most of the boards are planning when it comes to for next financial year. So there are two questions. So problem there is like the skill gap of cybersecurity, because Sri Lanka does, as clearly mentioned, because we are not getting any threats like US. But are there any skill gaps to fill those in Sri Lanka when it comes to cybersecurity? The second question is like when it comes to most of them are business focused, end of the day, drain down to the P&L. So how can the cybersecurity objectives to be included in a business plan?
Thank you. Thank you for starting the dialogue. Who would like to take the skills gap? Nishan and Ocean as well, and then.
Yeah, so the easiest thing to introduce is basically in your onboarding, right, and education. That's the cheapest. For instance, for us, when we initially started, we had huge documents to read as part of training, tons of it. It was really boring. Now we have these really funny, engaging videos that teaches you things like fishing or a lot of these things. So the training is out there. It's relatively cheap. We do something called the top 10. So it's a part. So one is it's mandatory training for everyone in our organization. We also that comes from the leadership, right? So if the leadership is not serious about this, then it's not going to get trickled. So first thing is the board needs to take it seriously. And it's an education process. And these things cannot change overnight, but it's a gradual process. So the easiest and the cheapest thing would be there is structured, planned programs that you can run. Make it mandatory in your organization. Cybersecurity also needs to be mandatory in your onboarding, and we do that. We dumb it down saying 10 things that you have to remember, like, where do you put your data and all of those. It kind of covers a lot of it. 80% of potential violations that you can do, you cover that out. You need someone who will tell that story in 10-15 minutes so that it's not boring. And that generally does the job, because we had a situation where we bring in about 300 people every year, a lot of them from the university. Their understanding of cyber is very poor when you talk to an enterprise level. So what we do is we used to get a lot of complaints from the US saying you're making this violation. And it actually, for a Sri Lankan organization, we were actually looked down. It's like you're not professional, right? So it's important that we have that professionalism. We understand when we work with a foreign entity that we respect that data and their ways of working. So we made it a priority, went through those trainings, and that has really helped us. So that doesn't cost you much. That would be the first thing I would say. But nowadays, larger organizations, you've got to have the tooling. That is a must.
Lisa, I'll add something. I think in Sri Lanka we see quite a lot of universities moving into cybersecurity education now. SICRA is also specialized in cybersecurity. We have almost produced almost 2,500 cybersecurity experts. He's one of our master trainers of this program called Certified Ethical Hacking. While we create the technical staff or upskill the knowledge of IT staff into cybersecurity, my request is that every single person who has been given a computer and a network cable of your organization has to be aware of cybersecurity. The good old days of you using the computer and handing over to the IT department to look after the security has gone. So it's a responsibility of everyone. As Nishant said, where it has to come from the board to the down and make sure that everyone being trained, and it should be a board to down level, not from up to board level. Because if you have that interest, then it's very easy. But the skilled labor will come out very soon, where everyone is interested in producing cyber experts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bhushan, if I could just add my 2 cents quickly there, right? In the field of cybersecurity, one of the biggest challenges, not finding resources, but finding skilled resources, as you rightly pointed out. So I want to talk about very quickly skilling, both from skilling and awareness, skilling from a technical perspective and awareness from a board perspective. When it comes to skilling at Google, there is a practice that we run as cyber range, what we call a cyber range. It's a live simulation of attacks wherein our attackers would be on one side and a customer could bring their entire SOC and we would be running live attacks. It's not a theoretical knowledge, it's basically a practical knowledge, like using all the tools that you would usually use during ethical hacking, right? How armed are your SOC or your blue team, as we call it, against Mandiant's red team, right? And quickly, from an awareness perspective, another area where when we talk to board, a space that we advise them is that you run a lot of awareness campaigns internally, you run phishing campaigns, which is important, right? But for a board, when a breach happens, when a CEO looks at his CLO, Chief Legal Officer, CHRO, and there is a breach situation, do they know what their roles are, right, in the scenario of a breach? That's where we also do tabletop exercises. We will simulate a scenario and see how is it that the CXO members react to that, right? Do they understand clearly their roles and responsibilities and they act? So both from both those perspectives also it's important, skilling and awareness.
Excellent. So there is this board awareness. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you so much from Google. Yes, I'm enrolled to your program as well. The Google free courses in Coursera. Yeah, that's good. Okay. One more thing is about the investment. When last time we think about, let me ask you, what is the most valuable asset in your company? What do you think? What is the most valuable asset in your organization right now? Because hackers is now, they're changing the motives. They are more organized. Okay, anyone can answer. I only have 4 minutes. Feel free. Any giveaway?
Yeah, a lot of giveaways.
What is the most important asset in your organization? Okay, well, I like it. I like it. Okay, sorry, I understand. Which one is the most weakest link? You know, people, process, technology. Okay, I repeat again. What is the most weakness factor in the organization? People, process, technology. Okay, let me make it the other way. You answer people. What is the most weakest link in your organization? Technology, process, people. Okay, all of your answer is wrong. The correct answer is what? Assumption. Oh, it's not in the option just now. Okay, what I mean is, don't assume. Okay? Because why? Attacker nowadays, okay, they already inside your organization. I tell you, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Recently, according to the research, they already inside the system since 200 days average. And they only need a moment to trigger your malware, ransomware, and then boom, your data is on the internet. Okay? So don't assume. Okay? I heard something, a quote. When you feel that you are safe, secure, actually that's your weakness. You always must vigilant. Okay? Sorry, I need to look at my phone because I need to compile everything. Okay, talking about the cost. Just now we talked about the cost, investment, and everything, right? Okay. Cybersecurity nowadays, since the COVID, no choice, we need to do online. Oh, okay, 1 minute. Online shopping, online food, online doctor, online dating, online whatever it is. Okay. Cybersecurity is not a cost. It's an investment for the future. Because why? The most valuable asset just now, when on the first time when I asked you, is not the people. Is the what? Okay, look, I have a lot of tricky questions. Huh? Data, okay, what else? 58, okay. Is a trust. Data, you have a backup. Data can, yeah, technically we can have data, it's a recovery, we can call it that. Is a trust. Because nowadays, when something happens to your organization, because you don't invest in cybersecurity, okay, and then your system got compromised, you will lose the trust from your customer. And in this new era, yeah, in this, not era, in this modern era, trust, customer trust is very important, okay? To build the trust is not easy, okay? But in a matter of seconds, you lost the trust, okay? Did I brainwash everyone in here? Brainwashing the mindset? It's okay. Right? Oh yeah. Because I was a pen tester. Not talking about ethical hackers, okay? All right. So the point in here is, here's the truth. Cybersecurity is not just a cost, it's investment in the future of your business. Because everything is now rely on online. I tell you another scary one thing. You are here, you are not a human, I tell you guys. You are only a piece of mobile phone. Believe it or not. When you lose your mobile phone, you are nothing. Correct? I experienced that before. I lost my mobile phone in one of the country, and then you know what? I can go do an online transaction. I can go to the hospital. I can go to the claim my insurance. I can even go to the embassy to get my passport, because all of my ID, all of my online banking, everything is in my mobile phone. So all of you guys in here is a smartphone. Thank you so much. Sorry for my.
Thank you. Excellent.
Sorry, it's my job to scare you because I'm a trainer.
Any questions? Yeah. Any more questions in terms of some of the issues? Trust, interesting facet, I think. People don't look at as that as a biggest asset of an organization. I'd like to hear something from the board members as well. How do you look at security, and is there any best practices that you would like to share with the rest of the participants here? Anyone?
Yeah. And also just now I also to talk this because just now because I traveled to a lot of countries around US, Asia Pacific, South Asia, and any country. So I see a different like the one that they mentioned, different types of motives attack, and also not to mention about the geopolitical issue. Okay, can I talk about Russian war,
No,
Ukraine?
it was referred to, but can I sort of, since we are running out of
Oh
time.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
Running out of time, I just, one last question maybe as to, should board sort of approach the issue of cybersecurity, which is one of the topmost risk that is there. should they sort of, what is the ideal role? Should it be an oversight, or should they sort of be hands-on? You know, yes, we have issues. There are no IT experts on the boards. They rely on their head of IT or CIO or CS. What would be the best strategy in terms of what would be the best mix? You know, should they sort of have regular oversight? Yeah, and as also the sometimes board have other risk as well. What is the best practice in terms of, and one more question as to what should the board ask, what kind of questions should board ask from their security and IT team, you know, to ensure that they are safe or they're secure. Maybe I'll start with Vipin and just quick wrap up.
I'll put it in a ABCDE framework. A, my friend said, assume nothing. B is believe no one. C is clarify everything. D is delete in case of doubt. And E is evidence. So that sums up as a board without getting into any technical aspects of what you need to do. You can cover different aspects of the cyber and IT things that are brought to you.
Thank you. That's easy. A, B, C, D, E, right? Excellent. Nishant?
So in our case, our Chief Information Security Officer has a dotted line to the board, though he's actually reporting to the CIO, and he does sit in the board meetings, right? See, your organizations will be at different levels of maturity, but digitization is the future. It's getting more and more with AI and all of these coming in. This is something you have to have right now. Maybe you might not have these threats if you're running in Sri Lanka. Maybe it doesn't cost you much, but you cannot switch this thing on like this. You have to be ready. So that person needs to come in, and it should be a must. At this point. If you, like, when we had a attack, basically we had a quarterly update. The quarterly update, we do hundreds of different projects at Cisco. None of it was spoken of. We basically said, this happened to us. We are paying for all these plans to protect them. This happened. We are safe. That was the only update in our quarterly update. This is a Fortune 50 company, right? If you're looking at the stats right now, for us, a lot of AI tools like Gemini that you get on your browser, they are blocked. But if you look at the stats, 90% of employees are using some sort of AI, even though your company has blocked some of this stuff, right? So if you take some of these things and say, Gemini, summarize this stuff for me, which is out in the open, it's free. You're putting that stuff out for others to use and train those models on. So AI is just going at a different speed, right? So that you want to be ready. I don't think it's an option anymore.
Thank you. Sijesh?
Yeah, so just to add my 2 cents there, when it comes to cybersecurity, it's not always possible to have an expertise, for the board to be an expert to understand the granular moving parts of cybersecurity. That's essentially where the boards usually have a cybersecurity advisor or engage some third party to be an advisor on the board, right? So that's typically what we see, but I understand because board can't be cyber savvy. That's where you have advisor on the board. And the other thing that the board needs to do is to have a regular cadence and reporting from both the risk and technology, wherein the information about breaches, about incidents gets reported up to the board. Yeah.
Bailey, quick.
Yes, the best practice is actually just follow the standard and regulation. We have compliance, okay? We have regulation, every country difference, okay? It's, I don't say it's quite simple, but it is ordinary. But because I'm a from technical person, it's boring for me. But the checklist is there. ISO 27001. If your business in the financial industry, just follow PCI-DSS. If your business in the hospital, just follow the HIPAA. That's the best practice. Okay? And again, don't assume. Alright? Always think like, oh, hacker is already inside. I tell you guys, it's really inside. Okay? And one more thing, there's no system that is 100% secure. The only thing you can do is to minimize the risk.
Thank you.
That's for me, maybe. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhushan. Yes, quick.
I think as Shanta said, board IT governance is a must. I think we have Arjun Herath, who is the founder of board IT governance at the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors. So I think that's a great thing to start with, and insist that all board members go through this IT governance. That's number one. Number two, also that as we see the regulator is bringing, especially in the financial service industry, there are lots of regulations coming in where the CISO is not reporting to the CEO or dotted line, but reports to the board directly. So if the CISO reporting to the board directly, the board members need to understand what CISO is saying. Sometimes the CISO need not to be a technically sound person. CISO sometimes should be a person who can communicate well to the non-technical team, especially to the board, and to make them understand that this is the risk factor. If you do not do it, this is what will happen, this the damage will be. So if that can be explained to the board in a very simple manner, that would be easy. A lot of mistakes that we see it's happening, that you bring a technical guy to come to the board and explain, and they use technical jargons, but the board does not understand. And also as it said that if you do not have a IT expert or cybersecurity expert in the board, it's always best to get the support from a third-party consultant, come on to the board and support the organization, board IT governance, plus on the cybersecurity side.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to wrap it up. Anyone like to ask the last question in case you were waiting? Anyone? Okay. We also have the chance to sort of network and have one-on-one with all the experts. I'm sure you guys are going to ask further questions during the cocktail. So thank you very much for the panel as well, for being very frank and insightful, and also from the audience, I think, for asking one or two questions. Thank you very much. Over to...
Yeah, I think my guys are ready with the demo that we missed early, so give me 5 minutes. I'll show you that. All right, so as I explained, this can be on a QR code, or it also can be that you get it on a WhatsApp message to click a link. I think all of us are aware about clicking a link. It's a taboo, don't do it. But this, I think, is something new for all of us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this. It got scanned. Next one. Jaya. So there was a button that I had to spend. It says apply now to gain this CEO forum giveaway. So you click this, and then your phone is mine. So the front camera has been taken over by the hacker. So I think they will put it on the screen that so these are the pictures. As you can see, number of pictures have gone in and collected. Imagine you're in a confidential meeting, or you're in another confidential thing, wherever, but this can take all your pictures. Moreover, it can have access to your phone book, can access to your gallery. And also, as you can see that lately we heard that WhatsApp being hacked and so many messages being sent out. I would say it's not WhatsApp being hacked, it's your mobile being hacked, and whoever has got into the phone and using your WhatsApp friend list to send the messages through you. I mean, so these are the pictures that I've taken. So without we knowing, these pictures keep going into the hacker's site. So this is something that I wanted to show you. So be careful when you are scanning a QR code next time wherever you go. Think twice. Thank you very much. I think we are done with the session.
The AI, the scales of AI now.
Yeah, you want to say something?
In his mobile phone, maybe you can project the yesterday AI.
Can put, yeah.
Huh? Is it our Muslim? Okay, be careful with AI. You know what? Recently there is one of the cyber heist in Hong Kong, $25 million US transferred from Hong Kong bank. I don't know, who's the hackers? I forgot, the supplier, or I think it's it because of the deepfake, alright? Can you imagine? It's the CEO, the former worker, they make a video call, and actually the video call is a deepfake CEO of the bank. I know Hong Kong bank is very strict, but how could this happen? Okay. Maybe we don't have time, so maybe tomorrow. Yeah,
So thank you very much on behalf of Daily FT and SICRA for all our CEOs for coming in today despite your busy schedule. And we will have some networking session after this. Any of the companies who haven't signed or registered staff for the full day summit, we'll have much more insights and experts throughout tomorrow. You can contact the registration desk and follow it up. So thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.